All right, let's do this. We are going to go live on Facebook. And this is going to be a fun day. Today, I'm going to be here chatting with you. And evidently, no subject is taboo because some of the questions I've already received are probably held for late night. So I'm going to vanilla those out and invite you to, invite you to ask me in person. Okay, here we go. All right, looks like we'll be going live here any moment, in which case we can begin. There we go. Hello and welcome. We are representing the Global Reimagine Live, Love, Even with Loss program. And I want to share with you today some really important messages all about maintaining resilience even through crisis. And it was very interesting. One of the things that happened to me recently, I would say I saved a life. And how, you may ask, did I save a life? I saved a life this week. And there was a guy who was out running and he had this big heavy backpack, so probably for endurance. And then we hear this little kid from halfway down the street. And the little kid's going, I'm tired, I don't want to keep going. And the dad, I'm assuming, is going, come on, we're almost there, we're almost there. And so my 6 feet apart neighbor and I were looking to see, because we were expecting this kid to be following soon behind. And the dad was like, half a block ahead. And I see a garage door opening up and this car backing out. And of course, in my mind, I'm a first responder in every situation, and I'm playing out every possible outcome in the scenario. And the car backing up, and then we see the kid who's just looking tired. He's obviously been running far longer than he wanted to be, but he's paying zero attention as to what's going on. I, of course, am paying pristine attention. And all the options and outcomes. Do I try to get there in time to pull this kid out of the way to safety? That would put me and the dog at risk, and I probably wouldn't get there in time. And the only thing I could do is throw my voice. And I screamed so loud the birds left the trees, and the storefront window pane was like bellowing and shattering almost behind me. My friends were like, oh my God. And the sound that came out of me was enough. It was not enough to distract the dad. It was not enough to distract the kid. They had no idea what was going on, but it was enough that it inspired the driver to hit the brakes. The dad carried on with his life. The kid carried on with his life. No idea of what could have happened had I not screamed so loud that there were literally spots in my eyes for like 3 minutes afterwards. The driver then safely backs out of the driveway, looks at me and goes, oh, thank you. And that's all the karma points I ever needed on that day. Anyway, we are here today to talk about you and how you will have somebody on your team screaming when you need to be protected. because you have a life worth living. So thank you, Reimagine End of Life, for being there for us, with us. And rather than living our lives filled with fear, Reimagine End of Life, and this is the global version of that. I know we've had programs in San Francisco, we've got programs in New York, and now with, one of the good things about the whole world telling us go to your room, essentially, is that we are connecting virtually. And it's a two-dimensional connection, which gives us content, maybe not context, but it is a way for us to reach out further than we have in the past. So we're going to talk today about crisis resilience. And this is all using the life worth living process. She was only planning dinner. We're going to be building resilience through the life worth living process, to remind you that there is more to life than just being the one who didn't die. And rather than filling that part of life with fear, let's fill it with love. Let's transition from grief to gratitude and learn how to develop resilience so that it doesn't break us down, but actually it builds us up and makes us stronger. We'll talk about pandemic relationships. And at the end of this program, I have a gift for you. Here we go. She was only planning dinner. I actually read on Facebook that a friend of mine who I used to go running with went out for a run and had a heart attack and died. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then I realized, oh my God, I actually do know what to do, because I have an intimate understanding of loss. And we are all now in this position where we have lost something through this huge world life change. You may have lost the role that you had at work. You may have lost your identity in that you just can't get to the office anymore. You may have lost someone close to you, or you know someone in your community who has. You may have changed the way that you live your life. Maybe you've changed your priorities, and the identity that you had before is no longer who you will be in the future. So my friend who went out for a run had a heart attack and died, and I realized I couldn't do nothing. I had to do something, just like when I saw that kid running down the street. I had to do something. I just had to figure out what was the right thing to do. And the right thing to do was for me to go to my friend's widow and say, this is never going to be okay. I'm going to hold your hand and walk this journey with you. Let's project manage this thing. And that was the beginning of the life worth living process, because you know how you think you've got life figured out? And it could happen in a flash that you are grief struck. Something changes in life. I mean, literally 2-3 months ago, we would never have imagined the world as it is today. And what happens when we're shattered and we feel depleted and we just don't have the energy that we used to have? We don't have the resources we used to have, or suddenly we don't have the outlets and the social or loving connections or opportunity that we used to have. What happens when we stay stuck in grief without a plan to move forward in this? How do you gain certainty in this uncertain world, especially when grief knocks you down, or just exhaustion knocks you down and you suddenly really just want to stay in bed and watch Netflix? What about your assets and what's happening to your family and fiscal life? I mean, things have changed. You'd plan for things for a rainy day, but it's been raining a long time, even though the sun is out here in San Francisco. And you could be using up all of those rainy day resources that you have. What do you do then? What about the kids? They're going through this too. They had a routine they were accustomed to. And all of this stress affects our health and our lifestyle. And stress is linked to 6 leading causes of death, according to the American Psychological Association. That in itself could be enough to be like, oh God, landscape scorched. And when all of those things happen, we tend to get involved with, like, we look to comfort zones or escapism, and we don't want to get involved in risky and dangerous behaviors, nor do we want to leave the children or ourselves or our loved ones vulnerable enough to get involved in these risky and dangerous behaviors. What happens to your job? Have you been furloughed? Have you been let go? Are you worried that you might be on the list of being laid off soon? It's not your fault, but here you are in this predicament. You didn't do anything wrong, and here you are. And now we're missing joy, we're missing touch, we're missing laughter. How do we connect with the people we love? And if we're single and we were dating, how do you spatial distance date and really think you can move a relationship forward? The entire situation leaves us depleted and isolated. And you know how you think you've got life figured out, and then you've got a landscape scorched. Well, the life worth living process actually helps you transition from this depleted, shattered situation to a full and happy life. And how do you do that when you've lost your enthusiasm and love for the long run and you're like, I need somebody to talk to. I'm feeling alone and isolated. So we actually build an inspirational advisory board, and we've got tools in place to protect your family and fiscal life so that you're confident in your health and in your self-care, because not only your life depends on it, right? The life worth living process takes you through and shows you how to support yourself and your family, your children, your loved ones in vulnerable areas, and secure your assets, your job, and enjoy life celebrations, and plan for a chapter 2 if that's where you're at. Or out in the dating world, there are literally steps to actually find love again and rebuild those relationships from the inside out, is what's happening, so that you feel inspired and fulfilled, and you too can create a life worth living. I'm Michelle Hoffman. I have written a #1 international bestseller because when I went to go help my friend's widow, through a process that I understood intimately, I realized I figured it out. And it's my legacy to share that with other people. So I wrote Life Worth Living. It became a #1 international bestseller. And I'm happy to share this book with you. Go to yourlifeworthliving.org. You can download a copy of it. I've got a list of all of that at the end of this workshop. And I just want to let you know, how did I solve this problem for myself? The situation was this: I met this amazing guy on this cruise. And at dinner, we were seated at the same dinner table, and he fell in love with me instantly. Whatever I was saying, that was enough to check all the boxes on his list. For me, it took me a few hours longer, but not that much. But we were on the dance floor, and he was so brave that he kissed me. Pretty brave. And I did what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. I laughed. Yeah, I know that's not what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman, but he was brave enough again to ask, "What's so funny?" And I just went, my whole world was changed. My train was going down the track, and now it's going toward you. And that's what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. So we actually had not been apart for even 10 days since that day that we met. We, and all the stuff that comes in between. We got married, we invited children into our lives, and, we had spent almost exactly 16 happy years married together. And he got cancer and fought bravely. "I love you" were his dying words. And now I have the 2 children and our 0.5 dog. And we are moving forward together. And because I figured all of this out, not only for myself and my children, but then for people who were experiencing major life role changes, I've been sent out to go help other people, which is why I wrote Life Worth Living. There was no guide to navigating widowhood. There's no guide to navigating, well, there might be guides to navigating sole parenting because of divorce and other reasons that we might be on our own. But there's a unique set of circumstances when it's you. So I wrote the book on it, and because you and your children are so valuable, I'm sharing that with you today. So here's what you were looking for: the greatest video of all time. This is all about resiliency and how do you bounce back from a situation. So I am going to, with your permission, I'm going to share with you how to not only not be a victim when difficult times come your way, but to create a situation where your physical self actually becomes stronger. So whenever you go into a new situation in life, there's a set of phases that you face. And let's take going into a new thing at school, like the first day of high school. You might be excited for this new phase in your life. There may be some trepidation and worry and concern because it's a whole set of unknowns. You're now like the youngest kid. Last year you were like the cool oldest kids in the school, and this year you're the youngest kid, and you don't know the ropes. You got to figure things out. So there's all this fear that's associated with that. And there's potentially a loss of control of what's going on simply because you have to figure it all out. And when you do go through the life experience with all of your senses and in your body, and you really are observing, then you get a sense of yourself. And it's your inner voice that's going to direct your outcome here, and your ability to understand how your body responds to all of this newness and stress. So what I'm sharing with you, this is my daughter, and this was her very first roller coaster ride. And it's just gorgeous as an example of when she wanted to do something for the first time more than anything else in the world. We were at Disneyland, okay, the magical place on earth. And my son and my now late husband had gone on the Tower of Terror. And it's that ride that just drops you like, I don't know, 12 stories. And I didn't go on it. I was staying with my daughter. I didn't need to go on it. But my son and my late husband come back, and my son is laughing like crazy. And we're like, what's so funny? And he goes, Daddy screamed like a little girl on that ride. And it was so precious that, this young child was so brave on the Tower of Terror, and that my late husband actually showed him it's okay to be scared. Well, my daughter says, I am a little girl and I want to scream like a little girl on a roller coaster ride. So we stand in line at this ride, and we finally get to the front, and she stands up and she's not tall enough to ride the ride. And she's devastated. And the woman who says you're not tall enough to ride the ride is like, gives her a voucher and says, next time you come, you can go to the front of the line. Well, my daughter's pretty clever, and she's like, the next time I come, I have to grow before I can come here. I can't just go back to the end of the line and start again. And she's totally devastated, and she wants to scream like a little girl on a roller coaster. So we bring her to Toontown, and we get a littler kid's roller coaster, and here she is riding on the ride. And what I want you to see is her excitement to scream like a little girl on a roller coaster, her trepidation, her fear, her loss of control, and then you're going to see it click in, her sense of self, when she understands that she is getting the experience she wanted, whether it's high school, which is also terrifying, or riding a roller coaster. and how her inner voice directs the outcome of what happens. Here we go. She's excited. She knows this is going to be good. She's going to get to scream like a little girl on a roller coaster, so she's practicing. It's going to be good. Fun, 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 fun. And then trepidation and fear and loss of control. Her little pigtails go flying and her eyes get red and her little face. Oh my God, every time I see this video. But then she gets a sense of self and she understands she's safe. She's going to be okay. And she gets to scream like a little girl. Was that fun? Mm-hmm. And her inner voice directed her outcome. That's how you build resilience. So be better at responding to stress. It may save your life. But how do you do that? Okay, so we saw a little girl scream like a little girl on a roller coaster. Is that really all I need? No. Here's how you apply those tools to yourself. The psychological response of changing your attitude toward stress acts on both your brain and your body. Stress makes you social. You've got your pituitary glands just pumping this oxytocin, the neurohormone that is actually priming you to strengthen close relationships. It's called the cuddle drug in familiar terms, because here you are in this situation, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling lonely, you may not know what the next best course of action could be. So when life is difficult, your brain is literally going to, go for the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and send you to surround yourself with people who care about you. And we're going to talk about that is a really great tool as your advisory board a little bit later on. But that's just it. Your brain, we're all stuck in our homes right now and we're all always in our bodies. And then oftentimes we're just stuck in our brains going, how do I be smarter than my really smart brain so that I don't get caught in this situation where I'm so fearful? So it's really talking yourself through the situation, through the trepidation and fear, to understand you are safe. You are loved. You are not alone. And this experience may be just outside your comfort zone, but if you listen to what your body is telling you, you will actually become stronger. So what is your body telling you? Essentially, what happens when we're faced with this stress scenario is we might get sweaty palms. Our heart might be racing. We might be breathing faster. There are systems in our body that shut down because they are not imperative right now. So really, what happens when you're prepared for those physical responses? If you're unprepared, it breaks you down and you might freak out. You might feel like a victim. It literally weakens you. But if you understand that your body is going into survival mode and preparation mode, and fear is actually something that serves you to save you and keeps you alive, it's a survival mode, then the stress hormone strengthens your heart. It literally strengthens your cells. It acts as an anti-inflammatory. It helps your blood vessels stay relaxed during stress so that you can respond to what you need to respond to and you don't have to worry about the extraneous things. So this is all the things that happen. So like your heart has receptors for this hormone, and oxytocin helps heart cells regenerate and heal from stress-inducing damage. This is how you respond in a resilient way. So when you get used to little challenges and how your body responds to them, like me anticipating that kid running down the street who might get hit by a car, that wasn't going to weaken me. It was going to call me to action and strengthen me, because I knew I could go through a series of things and options and outcomes, so I knew what to do. I know what to do when somebody is going through a major life role change, like losing a loved one, like going through a major divorce, welcoming children into your life, losing family members, or sending them off to college. Oh my God, are we going to be able to send our kids off to college again one day? So a very dear colleague of mine, Dr. Adam Dorsey, who's a licensed psychologist, was talking about developing resilience. And he's given me authority to share some of his hot tips with you. And how do you make that leap from anxiety to courage? One of the things you can ask is, what would your hero do? If you've got time to ask, what would your hero do? That's going to give you the superpower empowerment to help make decisions for yourself. You know, the serenity prayer is all about what are the things that are in your control when there are so many things that are out of your control, and can you tell the difference? What's your gratitude playlist? This could be literal songs that you listen to that are uplifting. Um, it could be just the mere fact of taking a moment to journal, either written down through artwork, in your mind, and through a meditation of what are the things that are going your way? What are the things that you appreciate? Comedy. You know, the news can be overwhelming right now, especially. But it is important to remember to unwind and relax. And what will give you a good belly roll of laughter? Because that makes all the difference in the world. Loneliness is not a choice, but being alone is. So reach out to your community, even if it's in the 2 dimensions of the virtual world, even if it's on a phone call. I'll tell you, there is something very unique about this situation, and it's giving everyone authority to reach back into history and reconnect with people you have not connected with in a very long time. So let me give you permission to do that and to regrow those relationships and rebuild new ones. I have been so fortunate to, one, make some 6 feet apart friends in real life while out walking the dog, because as neighbors, we would never see each other otherwise. They've got dog walkers. We don't go out at different times, but now we are. The other totally unique situation that has come up was almost a decade ago. We had a family reunion, and one of my distant relatives, if in far off countries, suggested we do it now because, you know, the schedules aren't that hard to figure out. I mean, we're literally all over the world, which is so awesome. So we needed to figure out a time frame that wouldn't keep people up too late or too early. And we all connected in a worldwide international reunion. I met blood relatives, people from my family tree that I would never have known otherwise. Amazing. So let's talk about pandemic relationshiping. One of the things that it's important to do right now is don't panic. Separate rumor from reality and process your own anxiety first. What is troubling you? And will it help to talk those things through, dance those things out, walk the dog in nature? Um, Feel like you've got enough security, fiscally, financially, in the domestic affairs, that you can feel less anxious, that you feel safe, that you can find calm in your own self. Assess what the kids know, assess what the people around you know. And how do you do that? Actively listen. Just ask the open-ended question of, what do you think is going on right now? And from your opinion, where are we at in what's going on in whatever the topic is? It could be the world pandemic. It could be what's going on with school. It could be a situation with someone they know, what's going on with relatives. It could be any scenario. And explain in an age-appropriate way. For example, I mean, what we're dealing with in the immediate present is that schools are closing to slow the spread of this virus. Provide structure for the people you care about. We do thrive on predictability and consistent routines. And one of the ways I describe this is, if you've got the scaffolding for a building, or I'm writing my second book right now about modern managers' blueprint and being the manager that you wish you had. So stay tuned for that. It's actually available on Amazon right now. Um, but it'll be available. The actual book will be available soon. Um, and it's so relevant because you want to put the structure in place. And once you've got the stable um, basics, then it allows for room to be creative, and your creativity can flow because you've got security. You've got a platform to move from. And find the fun. Structure allows for that creativity to take the opportunity to connect and play, maybe learn something new together. Some of the things that have happened in my house, I have teenagers now, so everything is going to be like, oh yeah, that doesn't apply to me, or we have to pretend it's not fun even if it is. But we have now what the kids are calling forced family fun. I mentioned they were teenagers, right? So we do forced family fun, and with that, it's we've set up Pee Wee golf in the house. I mean, it's with the dog's ball and it's with a broom, but it got really creative, and the dog is an extra obstacle to go through. And one of the other fun things that we did that I just simply wouldn't have thought of doing unless we were in our house for too long, I took yarn and I put it all over the living room, and those were the laser beams. And I took tea lights and I lit them and put them, they were just the electronic ones, around underneath all of these laser beams going all over, laser beams. And I put a fake diamond at the other end of the living room. It was a diamond heist, and the kids had to traverse the lasers, and they had to turn off the sensors to get the diamond without counter espionage, the dog, getting involved or interfering in their mission. So we've done some really fun things like that, and they've initiated those things too, because I'm setting the role model of, here's the expectation that we can have fun given the constraints that we're in. Maintain community. We've done Netflix movie watch. We've done virtual escape rooms together. There are ways to connect. And I'm happy to share more of those with you. Just go ahead and ask me so we can make it appropriate to you and your situation. And when it's possible, go outside and enjoy the nature. Get some exercise. And there are some parents who are like figuring out, how do we do this together? So they're building community in that way. And people are always saying, take care of yourself. And I got that enough after my late husband passed. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Can't someone else do it for me? Because this is exhausting. And when my daughter was very little, obviously find a lot of resource in my children. She had age appropriate invisible friends. And one day she was telling me that her invisible friends were named Good Food Food and Bad Food Food. And I'm like, oh, tell me more. And she said, Good Food Food teaches good manners. And Good Food Food teaches you to eat growing food that's healthy and nutritious. And Good Food Food puts you on your best behavior and teaches you how to be proper. And then there's bad food food. And bad food is a little mischievous. And bad food teaches you to eat the junk food. And bad food teaches you to get involved in risky and dangerous and inappropriate behaviors. And bad food is not a very good influence, but is very attractive. And then she says, like the greatest self-help book of all time advice. She says, Mama, I just need to be a little stronger than bad food. I'm like, ha, totally correct, darling. You don't need to be the Olympic athlete, perfection parent, most amazing gold medal employee all the time. You just need to be a little stronger than bad food. And you know how you think you've got life figured out and suddenly your landscape is scorched and you're like, I just wish somebody would come in and take over because I don't have the energy or resource to do this. And then if you've got peer groups who are poking fun at you, or you're feeling left out, you're feeling isolated, that's when we would look to escapism. And it's all fun if, we're doing this once in a while, but when it becomes a chronic scenario that you continually feel isolated and you're not connecting, that's a trigger to reach out and get help from someone. I'm happy to be there for you. It doesn't have to be me, but it is time then, if you're feeling so alone and lonely that you feel catatonic, that's one of the trigger times when you go, reach out for help. You do not want to solve a temporary situation permanently. And with that, the goal is, and if you can do it for yourself, that's amazing. And if not, there are people who want to help support you where you are most vulnerable so that you can have a full and happy life. And it's really just one step outside your comfort zone. And how do you do that? If you're feeling so alone and lonely, one of the tools that I share with people is to build what I call an inspirational advisory board. And this is a lot like a professional organization develops a board of directors. Why wouldn't you have your own board of directors? These would be people who you can designate as trustworthy individuals who have your best interest in mind. There's 3 different segments in your advisory board. There's the emotional advisors. These are people who will always be on your side, no matter what. And I have 2 sets of these kinds of friends. There are people I go to when I'm just so depleted and I know they're going to be like, you're right, and the whole world is wrong. And I'm like, thanks, that's the best. Sometimes you just need somebody to ally with you, someone on your team, someone on your side, right? Then there's the emotional support people who will be like, wow, that sounds like a really difficult situation. So you kind of feel like they're understanding the position. And then they go, have you ever even considered viewing this in another way? Because if you saw it from a different perspective, you might choose a different outcome or try something new. Those are going to be the people who will challenge you and push you outside your comfort zone. And again, these are emotional support people. So they're going to do it in a loving way and hold you in their embrace at the same time. I'm definitely one of those people. Then there's the phone a friend people, a subject matter expert. What happens when you just don't know how to do something? Things are beyond you. Well, that's when we reach out to experts, whether it's a medical professional, a healthcare provider, a financial advisor, a car repair person. What is it, somebody who knows something about computers that you don't know how to do and you can't just Google it on your own, but you need a little extra assist. These are the people who you reach out to, the subject matter experts. And that's, if you fill your portfolio of people who have complementary superpowers than you do, then you have a balanced situation and you know who to go to for what. Now, you also have to realize that you can't get milk from the Comcast guy. So go to the right person for the right thing and maintain your inquiries with them within their zone of genius. Then there's accountability partners to make sure that you stay on track and you keep going. I mean, that's why we hire a personal trainer to tell us, do 20 sit-ups today. Well, I should have been able to do those on my own, but how come I don't do them unless I hire someone to tell me, do 20 sit-ups today? I don't know if that was a really good example for an accountability partner, but you get my gist. And then there are those people who will leverage their position to help you succeed. This is our network. So going on LinkedIn when you're looking for a new job, trying to find the person who's got a bounty. Maybe somebody has a lemon tree and you're looking for lemons. Find the bounty someone has. That's the super ninja skill on how to make that work really efficiently. When you have your emergency contacts, and you know who to go to in any of your vulnerable areas, they then are covered as strengths. You can only give good advice or put your people on the right paths, but the final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands. I call this bumper bowling. So we can give you all the advice, but sometimes you've just got to learn these mistakes on your own. Don't you hate that? And you wish, why can't someone just give me the clue so I can go straight down the alley and down all 10 pins? It's like, well, people do, but we're not often developmentally ready for it. So we kind of have to hit the bumpers and bounce off of that until we do reach the pins and knock them down. One of my great skills that I share with people, and this works with anyone who's articulate enough. I mean, with littler kids, I would recommend playtime, like special time playtime, and letting them lead the game and listening to what they're saying and what they're not saying or what they're acting out to get an idea of what's going on with them. But anyone who's sophisticated enough in their communication skills, I offer, do you want me to listen, guide, or help? And oftentimes we just need to be heard. And by saying what's going on with us, it is enough to actually figure out what should happen next. And the hard part is if you're the person offering, to not say anything, just and listen with both ears and sympathetic heart and compassionate eyes. But you can't do anything else until they've given you permission to say, okay, you know what, I've played out the situation. Thank you for listening. I need a little guidance here. And I love that one because I get to share my value system and I get to play out all those things that have been happening in my head of if-then statements and potential consequences and outcomes. And if that's not enough, they may ask for help. So if you're going to offer, be ready to actually help. One of the other things, I call this politics on the playground, just to look out for. And one of the things that's happened since we've all been given an opportunity to take a pause and reevaluate life, is that we have discovered who really are our subscription friends. And what I mean by that term really is, who do we hang out with that are so attractive, like a moth to the light, but it's sort of costing us more because the energy is being pulled from us so much than it is refueling us to have those kinds of friendships. And one of the things I noticed in these, I call it when you're click locked into a subscription friends group, is you have to show up and do their bidding, because that's how you get the secret decoder of what's happening next to remain in this clique. And the difference between popular people is often that they're powerful people, and that social status puts them in a situation where nobody really just wants to be their next victim. So they go along with whatever is going on there. And how do you overcome that? One of the tricks and tools that I help people with, oh my God, I can think of 1,000 examples. One of my clients was really feeling browbeat. So this was Ellen, and Ellen was in a relationship that she was not thriving in. And the person she was in this relationship with kept demeaning her and kept browbeating her. And she was really taking it because she was giving all of this power to this partner. So we talked about not signing for packages that don't belong to you. So when, the delivery people leave a package at your door and it doesn't have your name on it, it doesn't belong to you. So don't sign for it and don't accept it. It's return to sender. It's not yours. And that's really what was happening in this relationship that Ellen was having, because in that scenario, the message was being sent, but it was really based on an insecurity that the sender had, not intended to offend Ellen. So we worked through that, and then we talked about how do we build her up again. And what we talk about is finding that intersection of what is your passion, what do you naturally love to do, what gives you a sense of purpose. And if it's a career, What do people want so much that they're willing to pay you, either in energy, friendship, a revenue stream, salary, whatever it is? So find that intersection of passion, purpose, and income to figure out where you should go and spend your energy. And with that, it's all about take what you need, not more than what you need. Give what you can, not more than what you have. But take what you need and leave the rest behind. And I would say that is true in every situation. And make sure that the issues that you're facing, especially as you're building resilience or you're dealing with big issues, and you might need a guide to help you project manage what you should do first and prioritize what needs attention that, first. And that gives you the freedom to let other things go until later. So you can really focus on what needs to be addressed now. And I just think it's so important to wear your Wonder Woman cuffs and shield. And what do I mean by that? I have this understanding, like one of my clients, this was Shelly, and Shelly was coming to me and she was really frustrated because she couldn't please everybody. And I'm like, why are you even trying? You can't do it. You simply can't please everybody. And what we discovered was she's got this little monster who kind of lives outside her head, a cute little monster like bad food. And this little monster that lives out there actually superimposes what Shelley was thinking other people might be thinking about her. Not what they were actually thinking about. She never really asked, for confirmation, but it was her thought of what she thought other people might be thinking. And she was changing her behavior on that. And so she was very frustrated because she was scattered in her decision making. She couldn't have a clear decision on what to do and what not to do. In her situation, she was actually spending so much money on material goods to try and fill in a gap that it was causing her financial distress because she wanted to look apart and feel apart based on what she thought other people were thinking. But those are other people's issues, not her. And when I helped guide her to figure that out, it changed everything so simply. It was just a one pivot click. It changed her whole outlook on the world. Now she's saving for her retirement because she doesn't need to please people who actually aren't being pleased by her actions. She's feeling good about herself, physically, internally, externally. She's making decisions that are easy to make now because the path is clear and it's well lit for her. So how to identify and deal with other people's issues, differentiating them from your own, and taking what you need and leaving the rest behind is a vital skill. You are valuable and valued. I see you. I hear you. What you say and do matters. You can create a life worth living. For a gifted copy of my book, go to yourlifeworthliving.org, and you can actually do it right now. Just open up your browser and go to yourlifeworthliving.org, yourlifeworthliving.org. You go to thewidowguide.com, it'll bring you to the same place. But at yourlifeworthliving.org, you're going to see this page with my big face and my big book. You can download a copy of the book there. If the tools are not enough, here's what I want you to do. At yourlifeworthliving.org, just scroll down on the right side and press I'm ready. I'm ready to take action, because what's it going to take for you to make sure that you're not stuck in grief without a plan to move forward, to get out of it? What is grief holding you back from? What is grief slamming your head against the wall and dropping you to the kitchen floor and putting its foot on your neck, preventing you from breathing or seeing your future? What's it costing you to not figure out what grief holds for you and how to honor those treasures? So go to yourlifeworthliving.org, click I'm ready. I have put some time on my schedule to spend one-on-one with you to hear what's going on with you. So let's chat. There's no charge for this consult. Let's chat about what's going on with you, and let's find that one pivot click for you to create a life worth living so that you're not feeling so lonely and isolated, so that you don't have to be depressed, so that you can create a wonderful world for yourself again. What's it going to be worth to you to solve this right now? At yourlifeworthliving.org, I'm ready. It's going to take you right to my calendar page. Fill in a little time so we can figure out what is worth waking up for and doing every day. Let's find that passion intersection of what really makes it so that you want to get a good night's sleep, that you're dreaming well in dreamland, and that you're ready for a brand new day. Let's talk about where your superpowers are and craft a message. I've got several clients right now who are being very successful in the online dating world because we're not meeting one-on-one. However, what we've done is we've crafted superpowers and values to create a robust profile that makes you stand out from all the rest. That's how you get noticed. That's how you can sense who is available. Then you get the choice. Position yourself in the stronghold. So rather than losing your enthusiasm, find the funmeister and have some fun in your life and create that enthusiasm for the long run. Let's begin your new life worth living. I'm ready. And I'm sure so are you. So go to yourlifeworthliving.org. Thank you for sharing time with me. I cannot wait to hear what questions you have, and I will answer them with you one-on-one in that very free consultation. Let's get it. Let's make it happen. It's time. You've got this. You've got this. You've taken the pause, and I'm sure you're ready to create a life worth living. Let's do it.